Aniket has 25 plus years of extensive trekking experience in Sayadri and Himalayas. He has led expeditions in Mount Yuna, Nandakunti, Spagnakri, Gangotri, and Nalini. He is also currently the director of the Swachhand Adventure Foundation. Can we have a big round of applause for Aniket Kulkarni and welcome him on stage?
We registered Swachhand Adventure Foundation as a non-profit organization in 2016, on 1st July 2016, with an aim to promote mountaineering and adventure sports. In the very first year, on 3rd July 2017, we scaled a peak called Spagnakri. This peak is located near Somuriri Lake in Leh Ladakh region. A very less climbed peak, just 2 ascents previously on this peak. In 2018, we actually got registered under Section 8. So we were in that process of registration, so we did not do any expedition. And 2019 May, we did an expedition to Mount Nandakunti, which unfortunately we could not succeed in summiting the peak because of bad weather. It was the same weather pattern which was shared by Martin Moran in the very adjacent valley. But we came down to the base camp and we saw this peak, unnamed peak of 5,115 meters, and we submitted this peak right from the base camp. So this was also a very good, unique experience. And to cover up for 2018, we again did another expedition to Mount Yunam. Again, this was a unique expedition because we did this expedition completely self-supported. There were no Sherpas, no support staff, no porters, no cook, no helpers. So we did everything on our own. And our journey into the mountains was going very nice. We were gaining in confidence. And then this came. In 2020, we could not do any expedition, we could not do any outdoor activity, and the entire world, along with the entire mountaineering fraternity, came to a standstill. By the end of 2020, there were vaccinations in place, and we were hoping that 21 would be a good year. And being the 5th anniversary year of our club, we wanted to do some special expedition. So we started planning for this expedition. And initially, while we were selecting our peak, we came across a document of 2004 where a team of Himalayan club had ventured into this valley called Khamengar Valley and climbed an unclimbed peak, Khangshilling. This was the peak, 6,350 meters. That was the first ascent on this peak. So again, our criteria was we wanted to visit some place which was never visited by us, and we wanted to take up a challenging task in 2021 to celebrate our 5th anniversary. So we were actually initially planning to repeat this expedition, and as a habit we were studying the area around this particular peak, coming around Khangshilling. So while doing a Google study, we found these two peaks, 6,332 meters and 6,128 meters. And so we tried to find out information about these two peaks. And the best way to find out information about such peaks, such unnamed peaks, is to study Harish sir's notes, because an exploration for us has been already done by him most of the times. But this time we did not get any good references about this peak, and yes, that set the tone for our expedition. The idea of climbing an unclimbed peak itself was very, very motivating, and we started with the preparation. Things were working very well until 7th April 2021, when again the second wave came and the lockdown was in place. And we could not prepare well for the expedition because there was a weekend lockdown, and throughout the week we had our own professions to manage, and then no time for going out into the mountains and preparing for the expedition. But then, and the uncertainty was growing. I mean, we were not able to judge whether we will be able to do this expedition or not. So the task was more difficult because of this uncertainty. But we did some, we kept on working on our fitness levels. We treated our apartments, society apartments as mountains, and then used to climb the stairs with 15-20 kgs weight on our backpack. And that way we prepared for this expedition. And so the primary aim of this expedition was to climb 2 peaks. One was 6325 meters and the other was 6115 meters. And our expedition period was from 3rd July to 25th July. We had a small flag-off ceremony for this expedition where Divya sir was the chief guest for the flag-off, and Shripad Satkar. Both of them had visited the same area and did the first ascent of Khanchli. So we got some great insights of the area and some great advice from them. And then we proceeded for our expedition. On 3rd July, we actually kept Delhi aside because Delhi was a very risky place to be in at that time. So we boarded the flight from Mumbai directly to Chandigarh, and on the same day we went to Manali. Next day we prepared for the expedition. We had hired an agency in Manali called Mountain Expeditions, and they had arranged for they had made very excellent arrangements for us in Manali. So first half we prepared for our expedition. We had actually shipped or couriered our expedition gear 1 month before the expedition, so that we could go easily by flight. And then in the second half we took a small walk in the Suru village nearby. This is the Sharvari Devi temple. We visited the temple in the evening. And on the 4th July, we actually started our journey into the mountains. So our plan was to go from Manali to Kardogri, which was around 230 kilometers. And Kardogri is situated at an altitude of 3,800 meters. So we thought that going directly at 3,800 meters, from acclimatization point of view, it would not be a good idea. So we decided to break our journey into 2, and we halted. We pitched our first transit camp just besides the road at a place called Inderdev. The altitude was 3,300 meters. We reached here by around lunchtime, and after some rest, we explored the area. We did some height gain to a nearby place. This was a waterfall. Yeah, up to here we went around 400 meters just to acclimatize. Now, this is the bridge which is called Dhardhar Pool. That is because earlier it was so in such a bad condition that when a vehicle passed from that, it used to make that noise, and that's why it was called Dhardhar Pool. Next day we proceeded further. This is Mount Dharamsura, which can be seen from Badal and the peaks around. CB 13 and 14 from Unzum Pass. And finally we reached the roadhead. Just near Kadugri there was a village called Teha. Just two small houses, and the people, they gave us a very warm welcome at this place. And next day on 7th, we actually started our trek to base camp. So our plan was to make a transit camp here at the confluence of Depsa Nala and the Khamengar Nala, and then hit the base camp at 4400 meters. So on 7th, and then further, we had planned to pitch a advanced base camp at 5100 and summit camp at 5675 meters for this peak, and another camp here at 5800 meters for this peak. So we started on 7th July, we started our journey towards our transit camp. Some beautiful pictures. The entire route was along the Parahiyo river. This is the Parahiyo river. We continued along the river up to a place called Sikkim. Sikkim was at 3900 meters. This was a very windy camp. And this is a bridge which has now been reconstructed to cross the Khamengar Nala. And this is the Khamengar Valley. So just to give you a brief of Khamengar Valley, the Khamengar Nala actually comprises of 3 streams. One comes from the Dibibokri Glacier, one comes from Khangshili, and the other comes from unnamed glacier where our peaks were located. And next day, on 8th of July, actually, we started towards our base camp. But unfortunately, the mule owners refused to cross one fast-flowing river, Nala, coming from Kamla Turbo peaks. And they just dumped the load here at Chom Lake camp and went back. So we were actually forced to pitch our base camp a little before our planned base camp at 4,170 meters. So now the mountain days were going to be more because we had to do a load ferry to the original base camp site and then shift to that will be ABC, and then camp 1, summit camp, and then summit. This was a very beautiful place and some nice photos we got. This is Khangshili, and we had to go in this valley. So the next day, when we started, we had one option of crossing the Nala by fixing ropes. But then when we did a recce towards Kamla Turbo Glacier, we found this snow bridge. This was a detour of around 1.5 hours, but it made our job easy. And then we continued with heavy loads, we continued towards our original base camp, which was now going to be our advanced base camp. Until Chom Lake, the route was pretty much set. Kamla Turbo are very famous peaks. Many mountaineers come there to climb Kamla Turbo. And Chom Lake is the base camp of Kamla Turbo. So even the mule owners were not knowing the roads ahead. They just knew the road up to Chom Lake, and we assumed that's why they just dumped the load there and went back. This was our support team. Chandi Thakur, he was our lead guide. Inderdev Thakur, Raj Krishna, this is the Khamengar Valley. the Khamengar Nala, and we were marching towards our advanced base camp. Yeah. So these are the three tributaries, one coming from Dibi Bokri, this one coming from Angshiling, and this one coming from unnamed glacier. And the flow was such that it was very difficult to cross this at this junction. We gave this junction a name called Tridhara because it was a confluence of three rivers, three streams. So we, on the same day, we went ahead a little bit and we found this snow bridge. Fortunately, we found this snow bridge in place and in good condition to cross. So we decided to pitch our camp here, just next to the snow bridge, so that it would be easier for us to continue further. Next day, we occupied while going back from the first load ferry, fortunately and unexpectedly, we actually met a shepherd who was having some horses. And that was a boon for us because we just negotiated with him and asked him to get his horses to our base camp so that we could shift the load in one day itself. On the next day, we shifted to the base camp. We came here for lunch and then after lunch we prepared for our expedition further. This was the valley where we had to go. Our peak was still not visible, even from the advanced base camp it was not visible. This is the Dibi Bokri pyramid, and if we watch closely, this resembles the famous Ganesh Dhar of Shivling Peak. So next day we did a prayer. We actually erected this mandir, this temple of Lord Ganesh, and did the prayers and continued into the mountains. Yeah, so the route was like we had to cross this snow bridge and climb this moraine, then cross the Nala coming from Angshiling, and then again continue on the moraine of the unnamed glacier valley. This is the crossing. And next day when we did a load ferry to Camp 1 side, we got the first sight of our peak. This was peak 6325 and peak 6115. When we had a close view of peak 6325, it looked very much unclimbable from this side because of the multiple rocky pinnacles and the sharp ridge on to rockfall. So we immediately decided not to go for this peak and focused on the other peak, that is 6115 meters. This is our Camp 1. Kangla Turbo 1 and 2, which is seen from Camp 1. Camp 1 was situated at an altitude of 4950 meters. We got some beautiful morning views from the camp. This is also morning. This peak is Shigri Parvat. When we shifted to Camp 1, we did a recce of the route ahead, and we found two possible routes to climb this peak. One was a straight direct hit from this ridge. There was a place for summit camp here, and the other one was to climb the col between this peak 5950 and this peak, and then continue on the ridge. So we decided to take this route because that actually gave us the chance to, if possible, climb this 5950 also. Next day we did a load. We actually split in two teams. One team, advanced team, comprising of Omharsh Jape and two guides. They were to occupy summit camp the next day, and we had to do a load ferry and come back and stay at Camp 1. And next day, we decided to occupy Summit Camp. This is the area near the Summit Camp at 5,525 meters. Because this was the south slopes of the peak, the snow was very slushy and it was very tiring walking through that knee-deep snow. This was the Summit Camp at 5,525 meters. The view of the Khamengar Valley in the evening was absolutely magnificent. The entire valley is dark and only the peaks are golden. So on 16th July, we started from Summit Camp towards the summit at 2:30 a.m. And we had to climb this ice wall in between, which was a 100-feet ice wall, and then walk around this glacier towards the final summit ridge. This was the ice wall that we climbed. This was on the summit ridge. And then our progress was halted due to this extremely risky traverse. This was around 150 meters traverse, and there was, on one side there was cornice, on the other side there was around 2,500 feet of sheer drop exposure, and because of the scree and hard snow, it was very difficult to fix the ropes here. But then we decided to continue in rope up and go for the summit. And this was the final summit pyramid. Just before the summit, this was the traverse part. And on 8:40 a.m. On 16th July, we were standing on top of this peak. In GPS, it measured 6,160 meters. We had some photographs on the peak. This was on the west. This is the peak Khangshilin, which was climbed in 2004 first ascent. Shigri Parbat. This was the other peak that we were planning to climb. This is one unnamed peak. This is Kamla Turbo and Ratiduni Pyramid, Bibi Bokri Pyramid, Parvati Peak. So we just left this snow stake on the top of the mountain and brought back everything that we had fixed in between. All the fixed ropes were brought back, all the non-degradable waste was brought back, right up to Manali. And on 17th, with very heavy loads, we left the mountain, came back to the advance camp, and then to the base camp, and then to the road head. So we had built this temple of Lord Ganesh, and there were many hurdles right from caused due to the pandemic and the mule owners dumping the load in between and going away. But all the hurdles were overcome very smoothly, and we thought that this was possible only because of the blessings of Lord Ganesh. And Kulkarni was just around at that time. So we decided to, and this was our first of its kind achievement. So we decided to dedicate this achievement by naming this peak Mt Guruganesh. Lastly, I would just like to say that we may climb very famous mountains in future. We may climb 8,000ers, which will give us a lot of name, fame. But the sheer thrill, joy, and pleasure of climbing an unclimbed peak, exploring the unknowns will always be unmatched. Thank you.